Okay, good morning. This meeting of the Select Board is called to order on Friday, January 26, 2024 at 9:01 a.m. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the Town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Participating this morning is myself, Liz Klein, Chair, Joe Fisher, and Bill Ramsey. First on the agenda is the recognition of International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And thank you to the Human Rights Commission for bringing this forward to us. The United Nations has designated January 27th, the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, a time to remember the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust and the millions of other victims of Nazi persecution. In 2024, the commemoration coincides with a surge of anti-Semitism worldwide. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Joe Fisher, to add some comments.
Thank you, Liz. Just briefly to put in context, what is Auschwitz, which was a concentration camp? More than 1.1 million people died at Auschwitz, including nearly 1 million Jews. Those Jews who were not sent directly to gas chambers were selected for forced labor. Auschwitz consisted of 3 camps. The first opened in 1940, and Auschwitz closed in January 1945 with its liberation by the Soviet Army. President Biden issued a statement yesterday that I just want to quote from briefly. This year, the charge to remember the Holocaust, the evil of the Nazis, and the scourge of anti-Semitism is more pressing than ever. On October 7th, Hamas terrorists unleashed pure, unadulterated evil on the people of Israel, slaughtering approximately 1,200 innocent people and taking hundreds more hostage, including survivors of the Shoah, of the Holocaust. It was the worst atrocity committed against the Jewish people in a single day since the Holocaust. In the aftermath of Hamas's vicious massacre, we have witnessed an alarming rise of despicable anti-Semitism at home and abroad that has surfaced painful scars from millennia of hate and genocide of Jewish people. It is unacceptable. We cannot remember all that Jewish survivors of the Holocaust experienced and then stand silently by when Jews are attacked and targeted again today. Without equivocation or exception, we must also forcefully push back against attempts to ignore, deny, distort, and revise history. This includes Holocaust denialism and efforts to minimize the horrors that Hamas perpetrated on October 7th, especially its appalling and unforgivable use of rape and sexual violence to terrorize victims. So tomorrow is a very special day, and thank you for recognizing it.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe, for adding that.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for saying that.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is to open the 2024 annual town meeting warrant to accept the following for insertion into the warrant and to close the warrant. First is to substitute the original warrant article DDD, Groundwater Protection Overlay District, as requested by the Planning Board. I believe we have Emily Wentworth with us to present. Good morning. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Thank you for considering the request. The Planning Board voted on Monday evening to ask for this substitution in order to eliminate any potential risk that the Attorney General may not approve this article. It's related to a groundwater protection overlay district that is mandated by the state. So we just want to make sure that it's all ready to go for town meeting.
I'm sorry, Emily, but quick, did you say that we have concerns the AG may not approve the article?
Yeah, there was, so the way the original article read, it
Oh,
could
okay, do you revise?
potentially been viewed as a floating district because there wasn't a specific reference to a map. The substituted language specifically refers to the Mass DEP approved Zone 2 map. So that it was really just a technical correction to make sure everybody is properly noticed about where this district would be located.
Thank you.
Okay, so the change has been made and the planning board has voted on it, is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. They voted Monday evening.
Okay. Joe, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I have reviewed it and I'm satisfied. No questions.
Okay. Bill, any other questions or comments?
I do not.
Okay, I don't think we have any members of the public, but any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay. Let me just look at the,
I think we're doing all of the.
yeah, let's do all of them together. Okay.
I'll, you ready for a motion?
Let's do all of them, I think, and we'll vote once, Bill, if that's all right. So
Okay.
the next is to insert warrant article EE, transfer harbor revenues to municipal waterways improvement and maintenance fund.
So I can take this one if you want.
Okay, great.
So town meeting set up the municipal waterways fund in 2019. Every year, all of the mooring permit fees or the mooring permit revenue and half of the boat excise tax go into that. Sometimes Ken Corson requests that we transfer the other half of the boat excise tax into the waterways fund, as well as some other harbor revenues. And it would have to be a transfer at the end of FY24, which is why it says 24 on there. By statute, this has to be used for certain harbor related items. We use it every year for harbor capital. It's also being used this year for folks inner harbor design and permitting work. But we're also trying to build up, really what we're trying to do is build up the dredging balance. We have 1.2 million in there and we're planning to dredge in 2029. And the dredging will cost approximately 10 million.
Okay, and will we know the amount of funds before town meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Joe, any questions or comments on this one?
I was going to ask Tom if we have an approximate dollar amount now.
Of what we'll be transferring or
Right.
what the balance is? The
What,
balance is about 1.2 million. How much we're transferring, it says there's about $40,000 in boat excise tax that's half of the boat excise tax. It would also be some other harbor related items such as Nick Bond's rent that he pays on the parking lot. That's another 40 grand. So probably in the ballpark of $80,000.
okay, got it. No other questions.
Okay, if I can just ask to clarify, Tom, so when we looked at the forecast, the boat excise was around 35,000 for local receipts. So is that already cut in half and that 50% has been
Yes.
reserved for this? Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Bill, any questions or comments?
No, I was going to ask the questions Joe asked about balance and where we are with the numbers, but I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And next we have to insert warrant article FF, expand the size of the Development and Industrial Commission.
So the intent here is to give the select board the flexibility to set the size of the HDIC as needed at any given time, to cull it or to add people to it, depending on what tasks they're taking on. The tasks as of right now are still a bit of a moving target, unfortunately, but we're working on that. So this will allow you to appoint up to 15 people to that committee, which in the past has been requested. So that's why I'm trying to keep the ball rolling with that group, provided we can get to a defined and agreed upon scope and task. Then I think a charge rather than I think we can staff it accordingly if you guys have the flexibility to do this.
Okay. Joe, any questions or comments?
What is the current articles say? What is the constraint on this right now?
Up to 7.
So this is changing it from up to 7 to up to 15.
That's right. The state statute allows us to go up to 15. We had restricted it ourselves to 7. So now this allows you to go up to 15.
Got it. Great. No other questions.
Bill?
Yeah, no, real no questions. I know the chair of the HCIC has requested this. I think he wants to refocus the HCIC on more economic development principles. So this is coming from the chair, members of the committee. I'm certainly comfortable with it. I would just note though, in increasing the size of 15, we have had trouble filling the current, commission at its level. So, but the chair told me that he has a plan to get volunteers on the commission and get them involved. So I'm comfortable with it and prepared to move forward.
Okay, great.
And just so everybody knows too, we would hope that they'll take an actual vote to support this at committee before we bring it to you for your favorable action vote.
Okay. Likewise, I've discussed this with the chair of the HCIC over the last couple of years. He's been pushing for this, and this is obviously allowed under the state statute. I think it just gives us the flexibility. We're certainly focused on economic development, and we want to empower this group to make as much impact as possible. So, and certainly it wouldn't be required, but it just allows that flexibility to go up to 15. So, I'm comfortable with this as well.
I believe the master plan also talked about HCIC or an economic development council in principle, right? Like increasing it,
Yes.
and changing the focus of it. So it kind of falls along with the intent of the master plan as well.
Yes, there was lots of discussion about an economic development person, having that actual role or expanding the charge of the HCIC. So yes, I think this is very much aligned with the master plan. So, okay. Any questions or comments from members of the public on these three before we take a vote? Seeing none. Okay, I'm ready to take a motion.
I'd make a motion to open the 2024 annual town meeting warrant to accept the following for insertion into the warrant and to close the warrant. Substitute the original warrant article DDD groundwater protection overlay district as requested by the planning board. To insert warrant article EE transfer harbor revenues to municipal waterways improvement and maintenance fund. To insert warrant article FF expand the size of the Development Industrial Commission.
Second.
Roll call vote. Joe?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Passes unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda is discussion and potential vote regarding assignment of Hill International Incorporated to LERO Program and Construction Management, PEPC.
So I spoke with Paul Callis this morning. He has spoken with LERO. He's made his request for the data that we're looking for, and he said it's been agreed. No, they understand what he needs, and they're going to send it to him today. But we don't have it in time for this meeting. So and I asked him, would it be problematic if the board took this vote on Tuesday? And he said, absolutely not. That's perfectly fine. So
Okay.
My recommendation would be that we just will hold off another couple of days and do it early next week.
Okay, I agree with that approach. Is that okay, Joe and Bill?
Yes, I agree.
Sure. No
All
problem.
right. And we're sure no work is being stopped, right?
No, Paul laughed. He said, I was coming on Monday and I will be here on Monday.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you for following up on that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, next is executive session for approval and or review of executive session minutes pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A7, Section 22A, and 22G. The board will not return to open session after the executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to approve and or review executive session minutes pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, Section 22A, and Section 22G. The board will not reconvene in open session after the executive session.
Second.
Roll call vote. Joe?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, we will go into executive session.